we have seen how to factorize expressions of the form x square plus something into x plus something. Here, the coefficient of x square is 1. The coefficient of the middle term, which is x, is positive, and the last term is positive. But you may also encounter problems of the type where the last term is negative, or the middle term is negative, or the middle term and the last term both are negative. So how do we solve problems of this type? Is there any special way of solving the problems of this type? Well, no. The method of solving problems of this type is similar to this. We only need to consider a few more possibilities. Let us consider each case individually and see how do we solve problems of this type. So first, let us consider this case. If we have the last term as negative and the middle term as positive. Now we have seen that we need to express the last term as the product of two numbers and the middle term as the sum of two numbers. That is the coefficient of middle term as the sum of two numbers. Now, when can two numbers have a negative product? Think about it. Two numbers will give a negative product only when one of them is positive and one of them is negative. So the product of two numbers will be negative if and only if one of them is positive and the other is negative. So here, while finding out the factors of the last term, we consider the possibilities where one of the factor is negative and the other is positive. So let us understand it with the help of an example. We have x square plus 4x minus 12. So we need to find two numbers which add up to 4 and whose multiplication is negative 12. So negative 12 can be written as negative 1 into 12. Negative 1 plus 12 gives us 11, which is not the middle term. So we consider the other possibility. Negative 12 could also be written as 1 into negative 12. But 1 plus negative 12 is negative 11. Again, this is not equal to 4. Negative 12 could be written as negative 2 into 6. 2 into 6 is 12 and we have a negative sign. So we place a negative sign. Negative 2 plus 6 gives us 4. So we have got these two as the required numbers. Negative 2 and 6 give us the product as negative 12 and the sum as 4. So now we write it as x square plus 4x minus 12 can be written as x square minus 2x plus 6x minus 12. We have split 4x. This is 4. 4 is equal to minus 2 plus 6. So 4x here is equal to minus 2x plus 6x. We can write it like this. So x square minus 2x plus 6x minus 12. Now take these two and these two. What is common between these two? X. We get x minus 2. In these two, we have a 6 common. Again, we get x minus 2. So this is what we have. Now, x minus 2 is a common factor among the two groups. So we can write it as x minus 2 into x plus 6. X minus 2 from here and x plus 6. So this is the factorized form of this expression. X minus 2 into x plus 6. Now consider the second possibility, where the last term is negative and the middle term is also negative. Once again, the last term is the product of two numbers. So we have a negative product. How can you get a negative product? You know, We get a negative product of two numbers only when one of them is negative and the other is positive. So, in this case also, the last term, since the last term is negative, we need to consider two factors such that one is negative and the other is positive. So let us try and understand it with the help of an example. We have x squared minus 4x minus 12. So the middle term is negative and so is the last term. Once again, we find two numbers which add up to negative 4 and whose product is negative 12. So can you try and find those numbers which add up to negative 4 and give the product as negative 12? Now let us consider the different factors of negative 12. So negative 12 could be written as negative 1 into 12. Negative 1 plus 12 gives us 11, which is not equal to negative 4. So let us consider the second possibility. It is 1 into negative 12. 1 plus negative 12 gives us negative 11, which is not equal to negative 4. Negative 12 could also be written as negative 2 into 6, but negative 2 plus 6 is equal to 4. So we ignore this possibility as well because we have a negative 4x, not 4x. Now we have 2 into negative 6 is equal to negative 12. 2 plus negative 6 is negative 4, which is what we require. So negative 12, negative 4 is what is required. So we use these two numbers for splitting the middle term. So we write it as x squared minus 4x minus 12 is equal to, x squared remains x squared, minus 4 is written as 2 plus minus 6. So minus 4x could be written as 2x minus 6x and minus 12 remains. So this is what we have. Now factorize by grouping. Take these two. Take x common. We have x plus 2. Take these two. We have a 6 common. But note that if we take 6 common, we'll have a negative x in the bracket. But we want something similar to this. In fact, we want a factor identical to this. So we will take negative 6 common and not 6. Once we take negative 6 common, we have x here and we have plus 2 here. So negative 6 common gives us x plus 2 inside the bracket. So x plus 2 is the common factor in these two groups. So we can factor it out. So we factor it out to get x plus 2 into x minus 6. X minus 6. So x plus 2 into x minus 6 is the factorized form of this expression. X plus 2 is a factor of this expression. X minus 6 is a factor of this expression. Now notice an important thing. We have x squared plus 4x minus 12. We have x squared minus 4x minus 12. So we have a negative last term in both of them. Fine. So we need two numbers such that one of them is positive and the other is negative in both of them. We have a plus 4x here and we get the factors as negative 2 and 6. We have a minus 4x here. We get the factors as 2 and minus 6. So can you find a pattern here? Well, when you have a positive middle term, the higher of the two factors will be positive because only then their sum will be a positive number. When you have a negative middle term, the higher of the two factors will be negative because only then their sum will be negative. So when we need to factorize problems of this type, when there is a negative last term, we'll have two factors such that one of them is positive, the other is negative, and the higher of the two factors will have the sign of the middle term. So we can rule out the factors in which the higher factor has the sign opposite to that of the middle term. This will make our task much simpler. Now consider the third possibility, where we have the negative middle term and a positive last term. So a positive product, we have a positive product. We can get a positive product by multiplying a positive number with a positive number, or by multiplying a negative number with a negative number. So these are the two cases where we can get a positive product. What if you add two positive numbers? When you add two positive numbers, you get a positive number, but here we require a negative number. So we cannot use this. What if you add two negative numbers? When you add two negative numbers, you get a negative number. So this is the only possibility which we need to consider. So when you have expressions of this type, where the last term is positive, but the coefficient of the middle term is negative, then we consider the factors such that both the factors are negative, because both negative factors will give this term as positive and this term as negative. So let us understand it with the help of an example. X square minus 7x plus 12. So we have positive last term but negative middle term. Find two numbers such that their sum is negative 7 and product is 12. We can do it by finding the different factors of 12 which give their product as 12. So 12 could be written as negative 1 into negative 12. Negative 1 plus negative 12 give us negative 13, which is not equal to negative 7. 12 could also be written as negative 2 into negative 6. Negative 2 plus negative 6 gives us negative 8, which is not equal to negative 7. We can also write 12 as negative 3 into negative 4. Negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7, which is what we wanted. So we have a 12 here, we have a 12 here, we have negative 7, we have negative 7. So we have got our numbers as negative 3 and negative 4. These are the two required numbers. Now this can be written as x square minus 7x plus 12 can be written as x square minus 7 is equal to minus 3 plus minus 4. So minus 7x is equal to minus 3x minus 4x and plus 12. Now factorize this by grouping. So take these two terms, take x common, we get x minus 3. From these two terms, we have 4 common. So should we take 4 common? If we take 4 common, then we will have a negative x inside the bracket, but we require a positive x. So let us take negative 4 common. If we take negative 4, then negative 4 into x is negative 4x. Negative 4 into what will give us a 12? Negative 4 into negative 3 is 12. So minus 4 minus 3 gives us 12. So we have x minus 3 as the common factor. So we write it as x minus 3 into x minus 4. This is the factorized form of this expression, x minus 3 into x minus 4. So no matter what the sign is, we can consider the sign of this term first. Depending on whether it is positive and negative, we see what factors we should consider, and then we add up those factors to check whether they give the middle term.